Just grab a headset. Put the mic in front of you. Good morning, everybody. It's Thursday. You know, if it's around 9 o'clock, it's time for Lovebabz, Lovetalk. And I'm talking today. So Hanifa Washington and Thema. See, I was practicing this. Thema Graves is in the studio. Hey, ladies.
Hello.
Bring the mic all. You know how to do this.
Bring
this
it
mic.
all the way.
Yeah, just bring the arm down. Don't put it in front of you so we can see your pretty faces.
Oh.
Pull it together and talk right into the mic.
Keep the camera on Thema.
It's like a it's like a kiss. Come on now, we're gonna do this. Good morning.
Good morning.
One Village Healing.
Yes, we are.
I'm so excited.
Building.
First of all, wait. Let me back this up.
Back it up.
Because I've been chasing Hanifa.
Oh, wow, man.
For I don't know, for 2 years maybe. I've been like a bad boyfriend. Like, girl, please, please, please. I was like, all right. So she, she was scheduled to come, then she couldn't come. I was like, all right. And then I see her on everybody else's show. I was like,
who's everybody else?
So I was like,
who's everybody?
Black people gotta exaggerate, right? You know how we
Come
do.
on now.
Like we done had brown liquor. Like we done been drinking early in the morning.
Put the cognac down. It's too early. Well, I'm happy to be here finally, Babz. Thank you.
It was nice to see. So we're at Cave Vid for happy hour. I see her, and finally she says yes.
Yes.
How are y'all?
Great.
Wonderful.
How you doing?
I'm here.
Okay,
Yeah.
I want to hear about how this collaboration started. Did it start on the front porch? Like, how did the seed grow? That's what I want to know.
Yeah. I mean,
and then I want you to tell me what it is that grew.
What it is. So
that's right. You're a singer, so I know you can sing it if you need to.
There's so many stories, but like Thema and I have been circling each other for a while, in terms of being in friendship, growing friendship, and then really being supportive sisters and healing together. So Thema is a Reiki master practitioner, and she's actually my Reiki teacher, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been training with her for like 3 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm now a Reiki master practitioner myself.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, which is really cool. So I feel like that formation and like meeting in Mahara's randomly like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely sort of like the beginning of our healership together, I feel like. And holding the vision and wanting to be able to like reach a lot of people through holistic healing. And I remember, Thema, you were doing some work that was really inspiring to me. Like you were doing like meditations on the steps of the library like 2 years ago.
Yes. We were doing meditations in the morning before the library would open up. We would, a friend of mine, Damien Paglia, and I would go to the library steps and just do like a really quick, people gather in front of the library to wait for it to open. And so we would just kind of sit and invite people to join. And you'd be surprised of how many people you wouldn't even imagine that either wanted to try it out, were intrigued, or it brought them back to this time of like, oh yeah, my mom used to do this with me, or, my mom always taught me to sit and breathe, and, it always brought me so much clarity. Thank you for reminding me about this. So it was just a really beautiful just action to share with people, and it brought so much, not just me bringing anything to the people, but it brought so much for me. It was such a reciprocal idea of healing and solace and peace that was so inspiring. And so you know, doing that type of work is definitely planted a seed for me as far as moving into dreaming into One Village healing.
Okay, so tell me, what is One Village? What is it?
One Village healing is it's a growing and emerging and like healing and wellness initiative, and the sort of first part of it, or the first phase of it, is opening a center or wellness or healing studio that's based in all the different holistic modalities. And that really,
And you can pull the mic towards you so you can, I mean, you could like pull it down a little, pull the whole arm down a little bit so that you can face me, turn.
Okay, cool,
yeah.
cool.
There you go.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
And so it really combines and invites all the different holistic modalities. So we're talking about energy healing, Reiki, massage therapy, art therapy, and also, traditional healing modalities as well, in terms of massage therapy and counseling, life coaching, things like this. And so the point of it is really to it's focused and anchored in the need for us all to acknowledge and recognize how different forms of oppression like impact our wellness. And so it's really all of the designing and the programming is around healing from these impacts. So we're talking about the patriarchy, right? We're talking about white supremacy, poverty, to name the top three, if you will.
Our everyday practical life.
Yes. And so exactly.
Right.
So what we really feel like is that people don't really address, right, that these things are impacting them. And so we all walk around thinking, oh, I'm just coming in here for a massage, or I'm just going to go sit in this meditation, but not really intentionally not intentionally setting why am I here? Why am I trying to get healed? And what is the thing impacting me? And I think if we begin to call it out more and more, the more it will have less power and be less of a mystery for a lot of different people.
I like that.
And so this is about healing for people of color. This is about healing for people who identify as white. This is about healing for people who have been often marginalized and left out of the scene when it comes to wellness. So this is about bridging that wellness gap as well. And so it's One Village because we're One Village healing from all types of different things.
Okay,
And
so who else is in this partnership? Just you two?
It's the two of us for now.
For now.
As like the anchors of this. And we really do see ourselves as anchors pulling down to have like some structure and then to hold space for whatever's going to emerge. So we are the primary practitioners out of the healing studio, which is at Breathing Room Wellness Center, Yoga and Wellness Center at 216 Crown Street.
And they have the New Haven floats in there.
They do.
I have y'all done that? I haven't done it. Really?
Yes. It is fantastic.
Oh, I have to do it.
Yes. Yeah. It's awesome there because they had a studio for years. This is actually their 10th anniversary Breathing Room. They had a studio on Chapel Street for a long time. They just moved into this space at Crown Street last year or 2 years ago. And so it's huge. It's beautiful. It's got 3 yoga studios on the 2nd floor, the float tanks, and then there's also a naturopath doctor on the 1st floor or 2nd floor. And on the 4th floor is this emerging wellness center. And so there's already, I think, 5 or 6 practitioners up there, and that's where we're joining and opening our doors for One Village.
Oh, okay.
So it's really cool to be also a part of a larger community of healers and in a space that's designed for Breathing Room to like take a step out of the fray and take care of yourself.
So if I walk in there, what do I get? What do I decide to choose from?
Well, it all depends on what you're drawn to. So we offer at this point offering a number of things like individual healing sessions. So Hanifa and I both do Reiki energy healing, which is a form of stress.
I was gonna say, talk to me about that.
So Reiki is a form of energy work or healing that relieves stress from the body. So this particular lineage is from Japan, but we all know energy work has existed for thousands of years in a lot of different places. But this particular form stems from a teaching in Japan, and actually it could be used either laying on hands, so you can be distributed through touch or without touch, because we're really working with the energy field here. And through this session, it brings the body into a very relaxed state, almost it could be a meditative state. And when you when you allow yourself to go into this state, a lot of healing can occur, because once the body is still, then all these things start to come up to the surface.
Oh, I see.
And
Yes.
and within that, you know, there's healing that can be done physically, that happens physically, mentally, spiritually, all of the above.
Okay.
So that's what, and I always tell people, at the very least, you will leave feeling really relaxed and really like a weight has been lifted off of you at the very least. And a lot of other things can happen too, but it's all about what you are ready to receive at that time. So.
And then what else? So, okay, so I like the Reiki. Okay, I'm taking that.
Yes.
All right.
There's Reiki. We also both do intuitive readings.
And what does that mean?
So when I think of an intuitive reading, it's something that can be done. I use tarot cards.
Oh.
So a tarot reading, or it can be done without tarot as well. And really, it's just, you know, a lot of people like to attribute that to, you know, psychic readings. I think it's more about being very sensitive to energy.
Yes.
Right. So
I would agree.
That's how I look at it. I'm very sensitive to energy. So as a result, I use that sensitivity to kind of reflect back to you what I feel from your energy field. And in that, we kind of come together to talk about, you know, what blocks are happening, and maybe channeling advice from, you know, spirit, from guides, to kind of help you on your spiritual journey.
This sounds very African. You know, I have a running conversation with Anru Half Kinney, and
and that's our dear friend.
Oh, so you already know where I'm going. So this sort of ties all that in for me. You know, it's like all on the same wave, right? And because when you said that, I was like, oh, I'm feeling Anru in this space right now. So okay, and will you be doing yoga too?
Yes.
I've been wanting to come to your trap yoga. I hate trap yoga, and I hate trap and I hate yoga, but I would do it because of you, because I like you, and I want to try it again. I hate yoga, but
Thema does an amazing restorative yoga class.
What does that mean? That might be something I might like.
It's like yin yoga. Yeah. It's much more. It's slower, and it's about holding poses for a long time, as opposed to like running, like kind of running a marathon on your mat, like which is asana. Like
girl,
with like vinyasa yoga, it's more about flow. And which is great, and it resonates with some people, and like there's also many other forms. When we think about yoga, I think a lot of times we're the Western form of it is very drawn to posing and flow and like this almost aerobic type idea of what yoga is, when really, you know, yoga was about poses that made it more comfortable for you to sit in meditation.
Okay.
So, and that doesn't mean always like running this marathon of doing headstands, right? We're not here for that.
I'm so glad you said that.
We don't have to be here for that to do yoga. So yoga is meditation.
So maybe I could come back to it.
Yes, absolutely. And we'll also be offering meditations as well.
I actually enjoy meditation.
Yes,
I'm a spiritual director by training, and I love sitting in silence a great deal of the time.
Yes.
So that's
we'll be offering that weekly as well.
That's nice.
Yeah. And in addition to the things that we're offering, there's another piece that's kind of a new workshop meditation experience that we're creating called Rise, and it stands for Restoring Integral Spirit Energy. And this is our mindful offering into the world of anti-racism work. And so there's wonderful places like Beyond Diversity 101 and Undoing Racism. I also feel like to some degree CLP, and all these different community discussions that can happen around race and CEIO, of course, which are have these like large day forums and these bigger gatherings and these intensives. And so we wanted to offer and think about, how do we bring spirit, how do we bring mindfulness into to bring it to the offering in terms of thinking about how we address and heal from these systems of oppression. So rising, this class will be offered weekly, and it's a meditative experience where folks can come and sit and do a little bit of yoga, to go into a meditation, and then are prompted then to think about, there's different prompts each week. So, one might be like Leonie always says, how am I putting myself on the auction block, right? So that's right? So,
Right.
Oh Lord.
Yes. How am I being impacted by white supremacy today? How am I using my power to disrupt? So to ask these pointed questions during each class, so that people have time to meditate on them, to journal on them, and then in small groups, like groups of 3, be able to talk about it. And then the class will end with a meditation. And so it's this real inward journey into thinking about, in the moment, on this day, what am I doing? And I feel like a lot of these larger offerings that I mentioned before are amazing, and I feel like there's some sort of connective tissue that's lost in between them. So people who've never done any of those things, or say you just came from CLP or a CIO event, or you just did the Undoing Racism training, or you just came back from BD 101, where is the place where you can continue to practice these things and be held in it?
That's rich.
Yeah. And so that's a place that we're trying to fill.
That's very thoughtful, because you know what? You do come away from these places and you feel energized and you feel like, oh, okay. And then you're like, where's the people? Like, where's my community of folks where I can keep this? It's like speaking another language.
Yeah.
You have to be in community with people who speak the language.
That's right.
All right. Okay, so you all decided to do this thing because you recognized there was a need for it.
Yeah.
And people were sweating y'all about, oh, come do this, come do that, come do this. Were you getting some of that?
Definitely.
I would imagine you was getting some of that.
Yes.
Because people they don't know what they want, but they know that you two have it.
Yes.
Exactly.
Or you can offer it.
And we've been in our homes doing a lot of work, or right, like individually out, over here, over there. And so there's something about this growing need of people wanting and desiring this type of work, or wanting something they're not quite sure what they want. And so to be able to hang a shingle somewhere that's not in our homes.
Right. Because you want your home to be separate sometimes from the flow of a million people.
Yes. And also you also want to be able to reach more people, right?
Right.
So I feel like when you're in your home, you're very discerning, for good reasons about who you want to bring in.
You cannot invite crazy in.
We can, but
I mean, exactly, right? But is it healthy for everyone involved, right? So yeah, this, being in a location that's not our homes allows for so much more. There's so much of an opening there, and able to receive more in that space, more people of different ranges, and not really having to worry so much about like, oh, well, I don't know, like I want to be able to say, yes, come in and what do you need? Or this is what I'm offering to more people.
Now, do you see that the times are changing with this kind of community that's rising up? Because I've not seen this level of community, particularly around people of color. I've not seen this embracing of alternative kinds of practices around our well-being. I mean, we'll pop pills every day. The doctor will prescribe things, but I don't know if people are really, at least in the last few years, I've started to see or notice that people of color are really starting to embrace this idea and notion of self-care and wellness beyond getting their nails done in the barbershop, but really putting an effort toward, you know what, I do deserve to go and sit and meditate, and there's a place that's welcoming to me. Because that's another thing.
Yes.
Spaces that are welcome. So when somebody walks in and see two sisters, we're like, okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Representation is everything.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's like, and we're not saying, this is a space for everybody, but there's something different. Like when you walk into a space and you see someone who looks like you, who you think, okay, there's some culture shared here. There's some understanding of what my suffering actually might be, and how I might be able to bear that, and that's needed. And not only people, saying, like you said, Babz, are saying, I deserve this. People are actually saying, like, I actually need this now.
Yeah.
And it's actually critical to like my survival here.
Yeah.
And I think we're seeing a lot more people. I know you did a photo shoot recently with some folks, Thema.
Yes. We did a dear friend of mine, Taylor, who is a yoga teacher, organized a photo shoot with healers of color. And they were, it was really beautiful on a nice cold winter day, sitting in snow at Edgerton Park. Yes, but it was a really amazing
that
photo
y'all
shoot.
Must really like Taylor, because I don't know any Black people who would in the winter in snow. Like, girl.
Yes, we did it. And yeah, her partner was the photographer, and it was amazing. There was about 6 of us, male and those that identify as male and female, and came out, and it was like really, really, really beautiful just for us to all come together. And just be there and be like, yes, we're doing this, and this is what our lives are dedicated to, you know.
And I do think there's a level of trust, because people see y'all in the community. Do you know what I mean? And so they're more likely to sort of check you out. Because they're like, you know what, I see Hanifa, I see Thema, and I feel comfortable in going in spaces where they are. Right? Because I know that's how I am. Like, I've gone to yoga places, and for a lot of reasons, body reason, color reason, and I don't feel like I mean, I believe I belong anywhere I go. Absolutely. That's number one. But you know when you feel some kind of way when you walk into space, and it's like they're welcoming, but they're not. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally get that.
Yes, you know, being in this world, you know, just for my personal healing, right, for years and years, I have bore the burden of walking into those spaces and having to weed out all of that just to kind of tap into and get my personal healing. And for me, like, I feel like people should not have to do that.
It's exhausting.
And it's exhausting, and not everybody is ready to do that, and it deters a lot of people. From, you know, just because I did it, you know, doesn't mean that other people will or want to, and they'll go in and think this isn't for me and just totally turn away from it. So what's important for me is that people are welcome enough and open to experience these things. And on top of like walking into a space you don't feel welcome, but this is also something new that you're trying to experience. So you're vulnerable from the giddy up when you walk in the door, because you're like, this might be my first yoga class, or and I'm trying this thing out. But all of a sudden I'm the only person here that looks like me, and they're looking at me crazy, and like, I don't feel welcome at all. And so I'm never going to try this again. You know?
That's the truth. That's the truth. And that's not only with this, that's with restaurants, that's with bars, that's with shopping, that's with, and you know, and that's
doctors
say it, doctors, and that's a thing that we try to explain over and over and over again. So it's nice to not have to sort of explain that anymore.
That's right.
Like to walk into a space and like,
and that's something that was also a big driver, was like, this place doesn't exist, and also thinking about where could we plug in, and like, where would we actually want to bring our energy, and like how. So actually making the decision to open the healing studio at Breathing Room was a decision, and it was a process, and there was a lot of dialogue and discussion around what does this mean for us, for the communities that we are wanting to bring in, and the culture that we're actually wanting to create, and making sure that that organization was ready and along for the ride and open to growth when it comes to having a community that's welcoming for everyone. Because what's also important is like, we are like bridges, you know, Thema and I. And so people, like you said, they see us, they feel like they can come. And so we want to also make sure if they're coming into a space that's a place where they can feel welcome, but also know that it is for them to go do that float, to go to that other yoga class. So so it's not just about come and only see us. It's what's really cool about being up in that space as well. Is like, there are yoga therapists, there's a cranial sacral person, there's this thing called Rolfing, which is real intense. There's a Pilates practitioner.
Is there?
Yeah. And so our hope is that people come to see and be with us, but also are then open and welcome and introduced to all these other different people and modalities and healing. And so that we create a culture of belonging and a culture of wellness as a right. And also a big part of what we're up to is bringing together all these different holistic practitioners, both people of color and people who identify as white, as practitioners, to welcome them also into one village. And so it'll be our Thema and I's primary place of practice, but we're also programming the space with local, regional, and international healer folks. So we had an initial meeting with about 15 practitioners who came.
Wow.
Yeah, which was amazing. And so we will be programming this space with other yoga practitioners, life coaches, medicine people, ancestral healers. So yeah, it's really exciting, and that's like one of the larger points of what we're up to is creating a network of holistic practitioners who know each other, and that we can also trade and do work with each other, but also have a place to also come and restore and receive work. Yeah.
So, is it affordable?
Yes. That's like so
I'm just asking.
No, I get it.
Asking for the people.
Oh, please ask away. We really believe in if we want to talk about making something accessible, we want to talk about creating a community, and we want to talk about representation. We just have to acknowledge that there are systems of repression that have kept people away, and that there has to be new practices that we institute to be able to like Space says, who we say we be and what we do are the same. So we are in the process of raising funds also to be able to support the project, so that we have a karmic fund, so that anybody can come to anything, so that price is not a deterrent, and so we're not in this particular moment. These next 2 years is really like a pilot of this to see what works, what doesn't work. And so we will be offering things. People will have options to come to anything for free or to pay what you can.
Oh, okay.
And then of course there are things that we'll charge people full price for, if they can afford it. But no one will be turned away for anything. So come get the healing. Yeah, come get the community.
Now, do y'all have merchandise? Do I get a One Village t-shirt?
You gonna make it?
Or a hat?
Not yet. Not yet.
Soon to come. Stay tuned.
Yes.
I'm just trying. Or One Village earrings. Just trying to.
Yes.
I love this, Babz. Yes.
Listen, I'll rep you. Don't worry.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to that.
But next Tuesday we do have our open house, which is very exciting.
I think I saw the invitation.
Yeah. So we got an open house and welcoming ceremonies from 6 to 9. It's really just like, come see it. Come just give us some joy and love. Let's eat some little good food and dance.
Yes, dance and celebrate.
I know. Yes. I need a good African dance class.
Yes. All right. Good to know.
Yeah.
I
know. Yeah.
All right. So this is wonderful. So will men come to this too? This is not just for women,
we
is
hope
it?
So.
Oh yeah, we hope men will come. Yeah, this is for everybody. Yes.
Actually, one of the guest practitioners will be holding space, doing some work at the studio. Is a man of color who's going to be leading a men of color circle, and he's also organizing a retreat.
Need it, girl.
They do. They really do. And we can't do it for them. You know what I'm saying?
No.
It's there's certain type of work. It's and that's something that we really think is important, is offering space for what is called affinity groups, so that there will be men's groups, there will be women's groups, there will be all people of color, there'll be all women of color, all men of color, sessions and opportunities. Because if we don't also address that sort of setup is ultimate for people, for some, not everybody, but for particular people, that is the best way to be in a healing space with others, is if it is affinity. And sometimes some people just will not show up in a certain way if they're with other groups. And so to be able to recognize that is a pretty big thing. And I think a lot of people have fear around that, oh, but that's segregation. And it's no, it's not. It's a choice, right? And it is an option, and it is an option that for some people allows them to get into deeper spaces of healing. And
so you all are downtown.
Yes.
On Crown
Street, 216.
216. Now, what is that near?
It's across the street from Metcha Noodle.
Oh,
across from that garage.
And above from Jiratai?
Okay.
And the hot dog place.
It's not by the Larico Tower.
It is in the Larico
Oh, it's in the Larico Tower.
Yes.
I used to party there when I was a kid. That's a beautiful, the ballroom. I don't know if they still have the ballroom.
Yeah,
they still do.
And they still use the ballroom, it's still a ballroom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I always thought that was such a beautiful space.
Yeah.
It is a really beautiful space.
Yeah.
We're on the floor above the ballroom.
Oh,
so
okay.
the fourth floor.
Okay.
Yes.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
I haven't been in that building in a long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do y'all have a website? How do people find y'all?
Yes, we do have a website. It's onevillagehealing.com.
.org.
Now you gotta go by the .com.
.org.
.org.
Now you gotta go by the
Yeah,
.com.
we're on Instagram, Facebook, onevillagehealing.org. And we'll be posting. We'll be sort of releasing our calendar for at least up until June for this first half of the year at our opening ceremony. And so all the ways and how to sign up for the classes and everything will be sort of revealed that on next Tuesday.
Oh, I can't. I think I know I'm going to take something. I don't know what. So I'm looking forward to it. So Hanifa, what is your specialty? Like, what is the thing that you are going to put your arms around to teach or share or?
So outside of offering Reiki, both as individuals and Thema and I will also be doing some group and community Reiki sessions together. I will be really leading the Rise, the Restoring Integral Spirit Energy sessions, as well as doing a lot of small group work. So I run this thing called Circle Up, which is a really beautiful experience that welcomes like play and deep listening and somatic. And somatic work really involves like deep body memory work. And so that is used as a tool for activating and practicing emotional intelligence and empathy. And that's something that's really core to my personal beliefs around healing work, both for ourselves and in community, is that if we can empathize with each other and really listen, then we can create anything and restore a lot of the damage that has been done as a result of these systems of oppression. So that's a core class that I'll be leading regularly. And then I'll be doing some body positivity classes and self-love classes. And
tell me about that, because I saw the gorgeous pictures of
oh,
you.
Yeah, okay.
Looking like a earth goddess.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's our dear friend Rachel Lou Ballard. Rachel! She's amazing. She hosted these photo shoots on Women's Day. It was for International Women's Day. So it was like whenever that was, on the 10th of, I don't even know what month we're in anymore. But that was an invitation to just come and bear yourself and be however you wanted to be in front of a camera.
It's quite liberating. I mean, I've done it, so I mean, I plastered my pictures,
and it was amazing.
It is liberating.
It was, and so I mean, I didn't show all the pictures because there's, I mean,
some of them are really, girl. Yeah. I know.
But it's something that I think is really important. And there's all this like work coming out. Now people have been doing work around it for a long time, obviously, but Adrienne Marie Brown just released her latest book, Pleasure Activism. Thema and I are very deeply involved in the work of this woman, Mama Gina, and the School of Womanly Arts.
The School of Womanly Arts.
Yes,
I know it.
We're actually doing it this year. So
really?
we went to the experience, and then starting
we're doing
next
mastery.
Month, mastery
and so you're gonna bring it back here?
Yes,
we're gonna
bring it back. We're gonna bring it all the way back.
Oh, I'm so sign me up.
Yes.
Here's my check.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I've been wanting to take that class for a long time, but I could never get the time to because it's a commitment of time.
Absolutely, and then that's the thing too, right? It's this huge commitment of time, and that's something I feel was a real big fortifying point of this whole building this initiative is like people really recognizing the time people have and like how to take all these wonderful offerings, right? I've done all the things. I've done Story Week, I've done BD 101, CIO, Undoing Racism, the Womanly Arts, and not everybody has the luxury or the time to do all these things. So how can we have touch points, more and more frequent touch points with all of the goodness of all those things, more and more often. So my hope is to be able to, the proverb is when you learn, teach, right? And so how can I give that away as much as possible? But the womanly arts and positive body positivity classes is something so with this emerging the curriculum and what we're going to be doing and offering, but it's a huge part of healing from patriarchy. I mean, it's a big thing. Just like eons of women and people who identify as women feeling locked out of their own bodies. Yeah. And so how do we come back in touch with pleasure? How do we come back in touch with the power of our bodies and the power of our wisdom and be together?
Oh, that sounds like church.
Yes.
I love this.
Yes.
Because I am redefining church. So
Exactly. This is our ministry.
My
for
spirit.
real.
Yes.
This is our ministry.
I love
for
it.
For real.
Oh.
Also be doing Mantras for the Revolution. I'm doing Mantras for the Revolution, which is a singing experience. And it's I released that album in 2017, and so it's 7 songs. There's one song for each kind of energy center in the body, But the experience is us, like me with people singing, teaching people the songs and us singing them all together, which is quite wonderful. We had a session last weekend at Breathing Room in their beautiful hearth room, which was amazing.
So powerful.
Vaulted ceilings. There was like 50 people packed in there, and it was wonderful. So I'll be offering that 3 more times this year at Breathing Room. And in addition, at One Village, I'll be doing smaller sessions and actually just doing mantra work. And so helping people with breath work, and then helping people also write their own mantras. So that will be another
I like
class that I'll be offering.
I'll take that class too.
Yeah.
All right. So how do you stay on top of this continuing education of these kinds of wellness things?
What do you mean?
How do you there's got to be a larger body of folks that you connect to continue learning about this wellness and
Absolutely.
and wellness issues and technique and what people find useful and helpful. I mean, are you spending your time doing that or some of that?
Yes, always. I think I'm always looking for things, and like social media has definitely, quite extended the reach. Because when I started doing this work, it was like kind of just waiting for spirit to send me people to drop the breadcrumbs. And now there's like this resource of like Instagram, where I can just like,
it's like, I like that.
Yeah, follow people and follow different organizations and groups. Like, for example, like the Heal House in New York, that's Brooklyn, or Minka, in Brooklyn, that are doing all these different wellness programs and things. So now, or like Harriet's Apothecary. So like all of these different resources now, through social media, are really helping me to like stay on top of that. So yes, it's an ongoing process of always looking for things that resonate with me, not just things that are out there, right? Like things that really resonate with what I'm up to.
So what is the biggest dream? What is the biggest dream for this endeavor, for this effort, for this new adventure?
Well, so opening the healing studio is what I envision as sort of phase 1, right? And phase 2 looks like we take it to the streets. Phase 2 looks like we are able to, ideally, like the biggest dream would be able to, like, we could open healing studios in every neighborhood in New Haven, so that there's a center, a beautiful place where everybody, that's programmed by people who live there, that you can come and get this work and get this healing, and that healing becomes just as fluid as like the liquor store, right?
Wow.
On every corner.
Right.
That's the big vision. So we'll get there, but in time, the sort of in between is to be able to have mobile village healing, so that we could be going into communities, 2 or 3 practitioners regularly, to be offering work, because we know that everybody can always come, and the best way to reach people is to go to where people are.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. And then to also have like a very large sort of inspired healing not workshop but festival, basically. So
I like
maybe
that.
in the ballroom, maybe, or somewhere, I don't know, but being able to offer like Thema mentioned, Harriet's Apothecary, they do these wonderful huge village healing events where, I don't even know, like 30, like a bunch of different healers will come. You sign up for your time and you get a little mini session here, a little mini session there. But it's also,
love it.
There's music, there's ritual, there's ceremony, and it's like a festival that's based and steeped in healing. And so that's a large vision too, that we feel is very attainable in the next 2 or 3 years.
I think so.
To be able to do that.
I think there is a real community.
Yes.
Almost desperate for,
Absolutely.
for something that's not church, not that's traditional
right.
church.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, I love traditional
Absolutely.
church. But I think I'm starting to see people sort of like, I need a little bit more that speaks to a much more deeper, personal, and you can get that in church, but there's something else that people are hungry for, and they can't seem to put that on the altar with church. And so they're trying to find some other ways to sort of
I feel that a lot. Like I was, born into a very religious family, Baptist, church. My grandmother is still a mother of the church, and I was in choir like starting at 5. You know, I went to church every Wednesday and Sunday. Like I was one of the, yeah. And so
listen, I grew up Pentecostal.
okay, yeah,
and I know what I know.
So I get it. You know, it's like, and I actually long for that community, not necessarily the doctrine.
Yeah,
right.
But that community of like, I got you and work together, and like, what do you need, and like, I'm gonna pray for you, I'm gonna put my hands on you, and and so there's that human connection. You know, it's like people circling up, right, has been, we've been doing that for eons, and with the technology, we are now becoming so it's like we're connected, but like in some like mental way, but to be physically together and to like have our bodies, our elbows touching, and to be breathing the same air together.
That's where church doesn't go.
That's right.
It doesn't go to that part. Even though you sit next to people, that's the connection that's missing.
Yes.
You know?
So we're really hoping to like, in everything we do, bring that connection and just creating more and more places where people can come together in this.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm excited for y'all.
Thank you.
I'm so glad y'all could come on and talk about this today.
Ooh, me too. We were like 9 a.m. All right. Right. Be there.
Gotta gather all my strength to get here. Had all the elixirs.
So Babz, I have a question for you. Like, what type of experience or class are you yearning for?
I think I am most yearning for I like sitting in. I was at Kay's salon the other night. She had a sister there, a psychiatrist. I believe she's a psychiatrist or something like that. And she hosted this thing around hair and mental health and all of that. And whatever I don't know what she started out to do, but what we did was we began to have great conversations about womanhood, definitively Black womanhood, and all the things that sort of we've learned thus far. And she was so moved because, you know, there was another young sister there, and they were saying they don't have these there's no intergenerational conversations with older sisters and younger sisters. So, you know, they're not getting the information. I mean, I'm 55, so I consider myself an older sister to a sister who's 30 or 25. And so no one is talking to them in a way, not in a mommy kind of way, but in a woman kind of way, like, girl, listen, it gets good at 50, right? Like, your life is different at 50, you know, or how to maneuver workspaces, because we've already weathered workspaces, or how to break up these terrible relationships. You know, how do you do that? Or how to think about raising children, you know, what's important to you. So these were rich conversations that we could give them. So I'd love to see a space where sisters can go and be intimate with each other, safe with each other, free with each other, you know, and non-judged for the conversation that could happen. So if you need somebody to facilitate that, let me know.
I'm looking at you.
I will come and do it.
Awesome.
Because I believe in conversation. Absolutely. Not so much story. I love story. But conversation. Real conversation with sisters, I think, is missing. You know, it's not enough to say, how you doing? Oh, I'm good.
Right.
Girl,
where's that going?
Where's that going? Right. And we rattle that off. I'm good. Or my favorite one, I'm blessed. You know, you rattle that off like it's like sugar. I was like, girl, come on now, come on,
what's really going on?
Bring it in. Let's get to the root of it, and get to the root of it without judgment and shame and scorn and ooh, girl, how could you do that? No, we're not doing that. We're gonna put all this out there.
Well, let's make it happen.
I'd love to.
We that initial meeting we had with about the 15 holistic practitioners. We did send that particular group this Google form that we're gonna make live for everybody. So after next Tuesday, we'll send that out and put it up on the website. So it's just a form that says, this is who I am. This is something I want to offer at One Village. This is the dates. This is how it aligns with your mission and vision.
Oh, I love that.
So
I would do it.
Yeah, awesome.
I would do it.
Good.
Okay, so y'all want to know where it is? It's on, tell them.
216 Crown Street.
Yes.
On the 4th floor.
Yes.
It is officially part of Breathing Room. It's currently called Breathing Room Center Elevated because it's on the 4th floor. And when you get out of the elevator, just turn to the left and come through.
I like that. And the website is onevillagehealing.org.
Yes,
Yes. ORG.
So now
be
Thema
clear.
got to go and buy .com and Miss reroute it to
Yes.
.org.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you, sisters, for coming. I am so
Thank
delighted
you.
about this. I'm
Thank
going to
you so
come
much.
and
Yes.
feel free to come back anytime to talk about
Wonderful.
anything you want.
Mhm.
If we want to talk about a specific thing, come,
Cool.
because people like to, people want to feel connected, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of people out there who are trying to figure this life out, and
Mhm.
wellness is at the center of that,
That's
and
right.
and they're so nice to know that there's some sister. I can't believe there hasn't been any sisters doing this. So this is
Right.
huge,
And,
right?
and that's the thing is that there are,
There
but they're
are.
just like disconnected.
Yes.
We're
you know?
all like doing it in different places,
Right.
doing different things. So
That's
that's
right.
also a thing too. Like, can we be this beacon where we all can
That's
come
right.
together?
Yes.
Right.
That would be wonderful. Then
Mhm.
sisters would know, like, okay, I'm gonna go downtown, and this is what I'm gonna get my healing, and I'm gonna do this, and then when
Yeah.
I'm over there, I'm gonna go float, and then
That's
I'm gonna
right.
come back,
That's
and
right.
so that'll be wonderful. Thank y'all.
Yes. Thank you.
I
Thank
so
you.
appreciate y'all.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Harry. I'm gonna play us out, and I will see y'all at your opening. When is it?
Next Tuesday, April 2nd, 6 to
Okay.
9 p.m.
All right, we'll be there with bells on.